Here we go. Setting up. Going live. Oh, did I just hear your phone die?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, we're live. I think we're live. Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. I think all of my lives are such a freaking train wreck.
No.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. Oh man. Welcome to Storytime Friday. My name is Jessica Ross. I am Misfit Sanctuary, and I'm being joined by the lovely and wonderful Joey. Hello, Joey.
No.
Thank you for being here with me.
Yeah.
Storytime Friday is pretty much what it sounds like. It is the day where Joey and I come together, and I'm in the process of planning a book, and telling this whole story on here is hopefully going to inspire some people, but it's also going to help me remember my story so that I can get it all down on paper. Little shameless plugs. You can follow me on Instagram at misfit.sanctuary. You can look at my website, which is misfit-sanctuary.com. I'm on TikTok at misfit.sanctuary. I am on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook, if you know what I mean. And you can, if you'd like to set up sessions with me, you can reach me through my website or one of those platforms. Probably not Facebook, most likely Instagram. Or you can email me at metaphysicalmisfit@gmail.com for a theta healing session or a beyond quantum healing, aka BQH session, which is like past life regression / consciousness exploration. It's super fun and neat, and yeah. And so I've got testimonials on my website if you'd like those. Joey is also one of my clients, so Joey can say, that like it's cool.
Pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool.
It's pretty damn cool. We did a session yesterday that was really wow. Like I actually, Joey, I want to record me talking about the session because it was so intense. Like, and we were in the theta realm for an hour and a half. When I came out and I looked at the time, I could not believe that it was like 7 o'clock. And I was, wow. And then I spent the rest of the night. This is so funny. I wanted to tell you this. I spent, how like, this is so funny. How like when you have sex with someone for the first time, or maybe not even the first time, but like you have sex with someone and then you leave and you're not talking about it, and you leave wondering like, was that as good for them as it was for me? Like did it feel like that for them? Like that's how I kept finding myself last night. It was like, was that just weird? Like, am I being weird? Because that was really intense. Like, did she feel that too?
I love that. I love that. Like, it was so intense for you, you forgot to check if
I was like, did she feel like was that?
I felt it.
Good. Yeah.
Very intense. And even the work we did up to it, just the really honing in and getting as deep as possible, that was really lovely. It was really lovely. Like I said, I felt like it was a long time coming. Usually I get the chance to work with you every week. It's been a couple weeks. And I am glad I work with you most weeks. I need it.
I love it. I love our time together. And I love watching you shift yourself and heal yourself and being a witness of all the hard work that you're doing.
Oh,
It's just such a lovely honor. I'm so deeply grateful. But like yesterday, and not to say that it's not really intense like other times, but there was something different about yesterday. And I don't know if it's like the energy of the planets that we're in, but do you mind if I talk about it for a second?
go for it.
So there was just a lot of clarity that came through because, first when I go in and I do the, clearing of the spirits and, oh, hey, Betsy. Yep. Drive safe. Safe travels. So, first going into the cleansing of the energy and clearing waywards or fallen energies or entities. And I was guided to say technology. Like normally I don't say technology, but I was literally guided to like say technology. So I was like technology. And as soon as I said that, this device that, like, not to be grotesque or anything, but the only thing that I can equate it to is like a wart. Like it was like this giant like wart device thing that
Like an airbag.
like pulled out, and when it pulled out, it had these tentacles that had been going through your entire body, and basically it was like hijacking your nervous system. It was like your own nervous system wasn't really online. It was this thing that was like posing as your nervous system. And
Wow.
and it was, like acting like your nervous system, but not really in the highest and best interest, right? Like it was like a what is it, an imposter nervous system. And so I saw that like be pulled out of your entire body like a nervous system. And then they kept showing me your feet. And I was like, okay, what's going on with her feet? And then I was like, okay, and I didn't know what was going on with your feet. So I was just like healing her feet, because they just kept showing me your feet. And then like the image was you were laying down and your feet were glowing. And I was like, they kept trying to show me your feet. And I was like, okay, we're healing whatever is at her feet. And then you stood up, you were standing upright in my, visions. And then they were like, she's not. So one of the things Joey's been working on is connection. And they were like, this device was preventing you. I don't know if it was just the device, but it was part of it that was like your soul, your spirit hadn't had the energetic completion. Like there needs to be some, like usually we have a completion of energy that connects us to the earth. And because of this device thing, it was like impeding your ability to have this full energetic connection with the earth. Even though you go out and you're in nature all of the time, it was like there had been something preventing that connection, and so you felt disconnected.
Yes.
And so seeing that healed, and then they took me up to your head, and then we did the connection with spirit and source and all of that, and like and then I don't know, I can't explain it. Like the guidance that I was receiving that was coming through had a lot of authority, and that might not make sense for other people to hear it, but and then afterwards when I hung up with you, I was like, whew. And I like was sending, I disconnect my energy from any client. Like I always disconnect my energy from their energy, send back their soul fragments and power and energy back to them. And then I call all my energy, power, and soul fragments back to me. And I was in the space and I was just like, thank you. Like, wow, thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I got this image because I was like, because it started with the card reading, calling in the guides and doing the card reading that I did and having that clarity of like, hey, you're gonna draw 2 more cards, but not yet. And then the second card saying, now you need to draw 2 more cards. You know what I mean? Like it was just there
Yep.
was so much communication going on. And I was like, wow, this is really wild. And then so afterwards, like they were basically telling me, they were showing me what I'm supposed to be setting up at like almost channelings. Like they want me to start practice
Oh,
channeling where I sit and I tap into that energy that I tap into with theta, and then people ask me questions, and then I bring through whatever it is that I'm hearing.
this is really what I'm wanting with when it's like basically it's like a session for multiple people, and
Yeah.
that's what I want you to be able to offer people, and I want to help facilitate that. And these are going to be things that are, there's going to be an energetic exchange. It's going to be this is going to be one of the ways you're going to be able to do sessions for multiple people. I think it'll be really beautiful. I mean, I know the right people will come together to make, you know what I mean? And like a group healing. How amazing will that be?
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super, super, super cool. And I keep seeing myself do it too. And I just don't know how to get it started. Like, I don't know how to, I, they're showing me what it looks like, but I
Okay.
don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then the one card that was like, that we read for you that was about collaboration.
Yes.
Although I do feel like it was talking about your collaboration, how we talked about like instead of comparing, like we're all collaborating.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that was like, but I was like, don't be selfish. Don't make her card reading about you. But part of
Oh,
me was like,
come on.
is the collaboration supposed to be like, I think we're supposed to do big things together. Like
I do too. I do too. I feel that in my heart and soul. That gives me the good tinglies. That's how I know it's true.
okay. Well, I'm excited for what we create, and I'm getting glimpses of what it looks like, but I can't say yet that I know how to bring it to fruition yet. I don't know that I have those skills. Maybe that's where you come in, because I don't know. I feel like I'm doing everything I can do to get things going.
Well,
Well,
I think,
that's
sir,
not exactly true. Like there's other stuff that I like
I
doing
really
Toastmasters.
want to do that when it's I feel like we're really following the impulses right now.
Mhm.
So you gotta, like the timing is a big deal. And
Yeah.
there's so much big shit shifting underneath within us, each one of us. This is, I mean, yeah, there's bits and pieces of it externally, but I mean, everybody I know, even people that are not anywhere near energy readers, workers, understanders, curious people, they're also like, why is my back hurting? Why are my eyes weird? Why is everything feel completely effed up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like we were talking about yesterday, where the butterfly just completely liquefying in the cocoon and rewiring, and it's interesting. And I did, I went to a new moon ritual the other day, before yesterday. And it was really intense, and it was really, really, really good. It was really good. And we um did this whole thing and put like our vision in this bean, and now I'm gonna plant my bean um to make the dream grow. And I don't know, things, they feel really powerful right now.
I think our words are really powerful, or just I think it's difficult for us externally to make things happen action wise at this point, for a few different reasons. First of all, if we're not aligned internally,
Right.
things are, I feel like things are happening faster too, with the inner, as within, so without. So if you're not aligned internally, like you could just be like fighting your way uphill the whole time, or you could just wait till
Right.
the time is right and it'll be an easy downhill and life will
Right.
lead you.
Yeah,
So
and the card that I pulled on the new moon was the deer spirit, which was all about like gentle. It's like there's the gentle way of doing things, to be gentle. And then the other card was everything, like you already have everything you need. It's already within.
yes.
I actually have to reread it. I'm glad that I just remembered that because I skimmed it. I didn't actually read it. Now I want to read it, but it's so I'm not going to do it on here. Um, anyway, okay, all right. So that's all of that. And so if y'all can feel the energies arising, like let me know in the comments, like that. What do all the cool kids say? Smash that like button, like subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to comment if you're watching this later, because
Right.
that's this conversation needs to keep going. It's definitely an ongoing thing. So any
Yes.
comments, or even on Jessica's story,
Yeah.
help us think of more things to address.
Yeah. Ask questions, comment, let's talk about it.
Oh gosh, no, I won't talk. Taco Friday.
Tacos. Maybe I'll make some tacos. Oh God. I just wanna like real quick, like send a blessing out for Trader Joe's. Do you have Trader Joe's up there?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So everybody kept telling me to go to Trader Joe's, and I kept refusing because I thought it was an expensive store. I thought it was more expensive. And all my friends around here kept saying, like, no, you got to go to Trader Joe's. They've got really great stuff, and they don't use as many chemicals because it's a German store. And so like they're not allowed to use those kind of chemicals, so it has less preservatives and yada yada yada. And I was just kind of like, no, because I remember I had gone a few years ago and it felt more expensive. Well, Publix, which is our main grocery store down here, is fucking ridiculous.
Oh
Like
gosh.
I went and bought like 5 things and it was almost $100.
God.
Ridiculous. So last night I was like, all right, we were at the pet store and I was like, I just want to check out Trader Joe's. It's right next door. Like everybody keeps telling me to check out. We got a whole grocery cart full of food, of
Nice.
good food, organic food, preservative-free food, like snacks. We actually got, I can't even tell you the last time I was able to buy my family snacks because most of the budget had to go towards like actual food. Like we had a whole grocery cart, like mounted, and it was like $200. It
Oh,
was
that's
incredible.
anymore.
Oh my God. I felt so rich and luxurious. I was like, yes, this is where I'm shopping from now on. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to Publix anymore. I'm not doing it. Like this is how are they getting away with what they're doing? And I'm just like super excited. And Lucas got an application. He's gonna apply. He had gotten an application at Publix too, but it's like such a bummer environment. Corporate, nobody's really happy there. We're in Trader Joe's, everybody's laughing and like smiling and being really personal. And like Lucas was like, yeah, I want to work here. Like this is way better. So I just want to like put that out there. Thank you, Trader Joe's, for being awesome. And for anyone who hasn't been to Trader Joe's, try it out because they got good stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm just really grateful. So I'm just like sharing my gratitude, like really grateful. It felt so good to be able to buy so much food for my family. We got swordfish. I'm super excited about some swordfish.
Ooh, nice.
Wild caught swordfish. So anyway, I digress. I just wanted to share my gratitude.
I know we're going to talk about food on Tuesday, but another thing that we probably should talk about is how expensive it's getting to eat. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We're gonna cover all of the things about food on Tuesday. But today is story time. So let's go ahead and get into the story. We left off where I think we had just moved into our apartment on 3rd Street in Frederick, Maryland, right? We had just moved in with Nick.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what can I say? The first thing that comes to my mind is I did not like Nick. Um, well, I didn't hate him, but there was something about him. You know what I mean? He is a narcissist. Like,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he's like full like NPD. Um, it was pretty intense. He really thinks his shit doesn't stink. Um, and but and I was mad because, to me, like, he took my mom from my dad, and you know, and he he wasn't great with kids. We'll say that. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great. And he was just kind of, I don't know, mom's new boyfriend. Who loves that? I don't think anyone loves that when that happens. um and so, but we were moving into this cute little historic apartment on 3rd Street in downtown Frederick. And downtown Frederick is beautiful. It's just like brick buildings, and like, especially during Christmas, they decorate the whole street. It's like Thomas Kincaid type style stuff. Um and then there's also like the ghetto. And Frederick, and then I started to go to TJ Middle in 7th grade. So we're in 7th grade. And I remember when I started going to TJ Middle, I was dating this boy. TJ Covington.
Oh, wow.
I think it was very similar to Coddington, but it's not. I think it was Covington. And so because I had started dating him when I was at Monocacy Middle, I don't know how I started dating him. I think he must have been going to that school, and then he moved to TJ, and then I moved to TJ maybe. But because I knew him, when I started going to TJ, like, he introduced me to people. So it wasn't like a horrible start. I already knew someone there, and at that time, my mom, like I had said before, she was working 3 jobs and she was partying a lot. She wasn't really home very often, and when she was home, she was hungover. And with my health at that point, so I was still kind of recovering from having mono, because it took forever to come back from mono. But I was thinking the other day, I was like having this memory of being in gym class and feeling this intense pain in this part of my back, and just going to the gym teacher and being like, there's like a lot of pain there. Like it's really hurting, and them not ever being able to figure out what it was. And the other day I was reading that Lyme, or one of the co-infections, likes to hide in the spine in that space. And just like having this like, oh, I was having complications from Lyme and like had just no idea that that's what it was. So yeah, 14 years old. I'm trying to think, like, well, I broke up with TJ because he kissed me and I didn't like it. Sorry, TJ. Nothing personal, but you know, I think I always kind of wrestled with like, so being bisexual.
Yeah.
And so feeling this like attraction to boys, but then when I would be with a boy, I didn't really like it. But back then you could not be gay. Like it was dangerous. I had friends that got beat like within inches of their life walking home from school because they were gay.
Yeah.
So it was not the era where you could be gay. And so I guess I kept trying to be what I thought I was supposed to be. And then also because of the sexual abuse early in childhood, I was pretty promiscuous. Not because I enjoyed it. Like that's the thing. It's like not even that I enjoyed it. It was just doing. Like just like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? Oh, this boy likes me, so I guess I'll, you know,
That's how you do it. That's what happens.
Yeah, this is what you do. Like, and so I remember breaking up with TJ, and school was fine. Like I remember, you know, starting at TJ was fine. I had hold on real quick. Hey, would you mind wait doing the dishes? Would you mind wait doing the dishes, please? Thanks. I love you. Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. It's okay.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll just go to the store now.
Okay. Sorry, babe. I love you. I appreciate you. um and I remember that there were a lot of jealous people. That's what there were the girls. I always had the situation where I got along with the boys. I always had more friends that were boys than I did girls. Girls didn't like me. And I didn't understand why. And my mom had kind of like also indoctrinated me with like girls are bitches and don't trust girls and like they're just going to be jealous, and you know, she really raised me to be like a tomboy.
Yeah.
Like a whorish tomboy, but a lady. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I was so weird as a kid.
So many things you had to balance.
Yeah, it was a lot to balance, and I was not doing well in school. Like, so I remember I ended up becoming a part of a program called the Maryland's Tomorrow program, which was for kids that were falling between the cracks. And so it was like I was struggling enough that they saw I needed help, but not struggling enough to go in like special ed. And they saw that it was like most of my issues were emotional, but it wasn't, they didn't have enough information to like take me out of the home. You know what I mean? So it was this program for kids that were like that. And hold on real quick. Can I give you kisses? I love you. Safe travels. And so school was just school. Like it was hard to, oh God, okay. Wait a minute. No. We didn't move to Frederick yet. That's right. Okay. That's all. That's wrong. We hadn't moved to Frederick yet. We moved to 13th Street. Now that's it. Okay. We moved to this awesome house on 13th Street and I loved it. There was the Whistle Stop, which was a little like gas station, Jiffy Stop down by the corner. It was not too far away from school, so I could walk to school. I did start going to TJ at that point though. And I thought it was so cool because when you walked in, it was just, first of all, it was a really cute little house. And I was so happy to be out in the apartment that my mom and I had gotten, because it was like a really dark apartment. And you walked in and right in front of you, there were these beautiful hardwood floor stairs going up. And if you went up those stairs, there were 2 bedrooms and a half bath. And then if you stayed downstairs, there was the living room, the kitchen, and then if you went in the back, like if you went around the base of the stairs, there was the bathroom and then another bedroom. Well, my mom and Nick took that bedroom and I got the upstairs all by myself. Ooh. And that was super cool as like a 14-year-old kid. I don't know. I felt like I had the whole, I had this whole space to myself, and I got to decorate the bathroom the way that I wanted to decorate it. And I remember my mom being really proud of me because so that was one of the things with my mom, like trigger warning, trauma warning, whatever that's called. My mom, if I didn't clean like a fucking professional, she would beat the shit out of me. Like it was something I had to work through as an adult. Like me leaving things messy is now like a healing thing for me, to not have to be like spastic about cleaning. And so when I cleaned really well, she would really be proud of me. And there was no shower in the upstairs bathroom, but there was space to put one in. So I hung a curtain rod to make it look like there was a shower. And for some reason, she was just really proud of that. But I could sneak out through the bathroom in the window onto the roof of the back porch. And then I could jump off of that roof and leave. And so that was when I first started sneaking out. Oh, that's not true. I snuck out with my friends, like at my dad's house, but that was kind of different because like we weren't in a city, we were in a community. All we did was go and hang out at the park right by my house. You know what I mean? And like we didn't get into any trouble. When we moved into the house on 13th Street, I started to get into trouble. I was really getting into trouble. And I just remember like really loving this house and my mom really loving it. I remember this was back in the day where my mom could write a note and I could go down to the store and it would say like, give my daughter a pack of cigarettes. And they would sell me cigarettes at like 13 years old, And huh?
So there's no way you would smoke those.
No way. Why would I do that? And And so I have good memories of them. Like that things were good. We had a lot of parties at the house. Like I had said before, my mom got into the Redmond's Club, which is like a bar, but they also did like sports together. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and it was fun because that was not how it was with my dad, you know, like and like with my dad, he wanted to sit in front of the TV or be on his computer. Um, okay, we would go out to eat, or he would take me shopping. Um, or to the go-karts. That was one of the big things I did with my dad. And to this day, I still wish I would have become a race car driver because I feel like I would have been so good at it. And so it was nice being in the house, and I lived close to the school, and I was really starting to make friends. And I remember, you know, for 4th of July, we would go to Baker's Park, which is the big community park in Frederick. And it's gorgeous. It's like Central Park, but for Frederick. And they have a community pool there that, God bless it, they put so much chlorine in it that your eyes would be on fucking fire for the entire day if you opened your eyes underwater. I remember one 4th of July, my mom having a picnic like at the park, and they would get those big Gatorade, you know, like the really big Gatorade, like
Yeah.
drink holder things, and they would make jungle juice. Do you know what jungle juice is?
Yeah.
Okay. So they would make jungle juice. For anyone that doesn't know, it's like every liquor you can possibly think of. And
Usually more than one kind anyway, and it's wow.
it is intense. But my mom was a bartender, and so she knew how to make it. Was yummy. It didn't I don't know how she did it, but everyone was wasted all of the time. But I was old enough at that point. My mom basically was like, go do whatever, you know, just let me be, let me party, and you go be. And so I have this one memory of being in the pool all day for the 4th of July, and then going and to the picnic area where my mom and all her friends have been playing frisbee and they're drinking, and everybody's happy. Like everybody was happy. It felt really good. And my mom, you know, my mom was happy. And I remember the smoke from the thing going in my eyes, and just me feeling like my eyeballs were going to burn right out of my socket. And then Baker's Park would have the most amazing fireworks. And so they put on this awesome fireworks show. I was with my friend, my mom was with her friends. And then everybody starts walking home, and I'm hearing, I don't know if this was this time or if I was older, but I have this memory of like everybody herding, you know, like cattle out of the park to go home. And I hear moo, moo. And we're looking around, and me and my friend are looking around, and we see my mom up on the lamppost
Oh gosh.
mooing at everybody, like just mooing, just like moo, like mooing at everybody as they went by, and everybody like laughing, and she's just mooing. And of course, me as a teenager, I was like, I don't know this person, like I'm out of here. And later I find out that she had taken a bunch of acid.
Now, how much later did you find that out? Is that something she told you way later, or did you find out later that day?
No, I found out like later that week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my mom, yeah. With stuff like acid, and that at that point I knew she smoked cannabis, and she would smoke it with me. She started smoking cannabis with me when I was 11. And so her philosophy was very much like, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Okay, not completely honest, because she was also doing like cocaine and PCP and shit like that. She didn't tell me anything about that. And crack. I didn't know about crack until I was like 16.
Dang.
But like acid, mushrooms, alcohol, cannabis, she was just like, she's like, her philosophy was, I'd rather you get it from me than some stranger. I'd rather you ask me a question about it rather than someone else, you know. And so yeah, she had told me about it, and I was, you know, I was just kind of like, yeah, I figure something was going on for you to be climbing a lamppost. And she ended up having this wild experience, like walking around in town, and, you know, ended up finding her way back to the house at like 4 o'clock in the morning and falling asleep on a porch swing.
Dang.
Yeah, she was funny. She was young, you know, she was like, I guess so. If I was 14, then she was 33,
Okay.
34. You know, so she was still pretty young.
Yeah.
And young enough but her daughter was old enough that she felt like, she's got this. You know, it was the 90s. We didn't have as much care as we have now. And so I remember I have like so many fond memories of living on 13th Street. Just going down to the Whistle Stop. They had ice cream cones, and, you know, we would run down there with our barefoot. We would get Jiffy Feet, because a lot of people up there would call these like gas stations Jiffies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we would get Jiffy Foot, which is like black on the bottom of your feet from the tar on the pavement and all of that. And I would just go get candy, and I was just having a good time, you know. I had made this friend. Oh, okay. So this is when I met Steve. And I don't remember exactly how I met Steve, but somehow this boy came into my life. He went to Frederick middle, so he was at my rival school, and I don't remember how I was introduced to him, but he would ride his bike, and I would like sit out in front of my house, and we would flirt and whatever, and then we ended up being boyfriend and girlfriend. And I just thought he was like, it was like I was like, it was my first like real serious relationship. We were together from the time I was 14 to 17.
Wow.
And so we would, you know, me and him and his friends, we would be on the phone on the 3-way call for like 5 hours, you know, just like talking, being silly. He would ride his bike all the way from the other side of town, all the way to my school, just to walk me home after school. Yeah, he started out sweet. He started out sweet. And so I had, you know, I was all Twitter pated with him and meeting people because of him, and he was kind of a bad boy, so I started to like get in more trouble. My mom did not like him at all, ever. And so that was going on. And and so I was making friends. I had this friend, Alicia, and she would come over to my house, and we would, so this is when I started to have real spiritual things happen. Like, this is when I started to really work with ghosts. So the first time I remember having any interaction with the spirit realm was, like I had said before, my cousin David died when he was 6. And when I was probably like 9 or 8 or yeah, no, I was like 9 or 10. I remember laying down in bed, and then this little glowing, like a glowing fuzzy light ball came into my room. And it like came in and it like do 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 do, and then it went up in the corner of my room, and I knew it was David. And I was just like, "Hi, David." Like I knew it was him. And then I felt so safe and went to sleep. And while living in Walkersville and Frederick, like I had said, it's a historic town. Gettysburg was a half an hour away. So the Battle of Gettysburg had marched through there. It's the whole Civil War area was all fought in that area. So there's all these buildings that are left over from the Civil War. And we would go and we would explore them. And sometimes you would find things that were not cool, like homeless people that were not safe to be around, and you would have to run away. And sometimes you would find spirit activity. And we had no idea what was going on. Like I had said before, I was always kind of an odd child. Like I was walking through my friends through guided meditations when I was like 8, not realizing what I was doing. And so about this time, we were still doing that. So, okay, it starts with a visit with my dad. Okay. So I went back and forth between my mom's house and my dad's house, of course. And there were some times when I lived with my dad for longer periods of time, and we go back and forth. They put me in the middle of each other, and I had to choose. And I would, my mom would be abusive and a drunk, and so I would go stay with my dad, and my dad would be, too strict. It was like I went from one extreme to the other. There was no middle ground anywhere. And so I didn't want to be with my mom, because there was no, like, all was whatever, do whatever. But I didn't want to be with my dad either all the time, because then it was like strict. But I would go and I would visit my dad, and then I would get to see my friends from Walkersville, the same crew: Aaron, Teen, Leona, Thomas, and Daniel. And at this point, we had a clubhouse. I think Teen's dad had made a clubhouse in the backyard for us. And so we would go in the clubhouse, and we would sit, and we would turn the lights off, and we would basically go inside, and we would take turns saying out loud what we were seeing. So, we would, take turns, and I would say like, "Oh, I'm seeing, whatever, I can't think of anything particular that I had seen," but we would just tell each other like, "Oh, I'm walking through a meadow, and, there's a butterfly, and how there's a fairy," just basically walking around our imagination, telling each other what we were seeing. And then it got to Teen, and she starts talking about, she's like, "Oh, we're walking, I see us next to a creek, and we're, walking, and there, I think we're at Israel Creek, and there's the creek and all the trees." And she goes, "And then I see a house, and it's a yellow house, and it has," and she starts describing, she's like, she says, there's 3 different houses, and one house I'm going in, and I see a horseshoe, and then the other house I go in, and I see hooks, and then the other house I go in, and she's like, I see red eyes, and she's like, I see a white hearse and a red Ferrari. And she just keeps like telling, and it's scary, like she's scaring us, but she's saying these key things. And so we ended up going like, "All right, you're being an asshole, like you're just trying to scare us. Why are you?" And she was like in a trance, and we were like shaking her, and then she comes out, and we were like, "Why are you doing this?" We were furious with her because she was scaring us. And she was genuinely like, I can still remember the look on her face where she had no idea what was going on.
Wow.
And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not what, and we were like we totally thought she was lying, right? Like, we were like, this is such horseshit. So, we let it go and whatever. A couple of days later, we are cutting through the farmer's field and going back to Israel Creek, where we used to hang out all of the time. And then for some reason, we were like, let's go further than we've gone. Like, let's explore. Let's go. Usually we don't pass this one part. Like, what's on the other side? Like, we're old enough now. Let's go actually explore. And so we go and we're walking by the creek, and there's like this branch that hangs over top the creek. And I remember climbing up on the branch, and we were looking at how clear the water was going underneath, and you could see all the pebbles and how pretty it was. And we hung out there for a while, and then we start walking. And then we come across these, we like got to the road. And on the side of the road, there are these 3 houses. And we're like, oh yeah, let's go explore, And so first we go to this one house, and it's all made of stone, because that's how the houses were made from the Civil War. And so it's a 2-story house, but the middle floor had been rotted out. So you could look in, and there were no windows or anything anymore. It was just like the structure of the house, and like half of it had fallen down. It was super cool stuff. And so you could look in and you could see from the top to the cellar, because all the floors had been eaten away. And we were like, oh, that's so cool. And I remember peeking my head in the door and looking up like this, and there was a horseshoe above the door. And I was like, oh, look, you guys, look, there's a lucky horseshoe. Oh, this is lucky. This is great. This must be, awesome. Like, we found our lucky spot. And we're like, yada, yada, yada. Then there's a flat house, which now we understand, after looking, it was a shed. And we had to break the lock on it, because it had like a little lock thing. And we broke the lock, and we push it open. And I still remember, like, because it was so bright out and so dark in there, we like pushed the door open and we walked in, but it took a minute for you to your eyes to adjust to be able to see anything. Yeah. And so we're in it, and then all at once we see that there are these giant hooks hanging from the ceiling, and there's like all these scythes, and all these like chains and all of this stuff. And we see the hooks, and we remember what Teen says, and we're screaming, and we run out. And we run out in front of the 3rd house, which was a yellow house. Wow. And we're standing in between the road and this yellow house, and we're yelling at Teen because we're like, you've been here before, you brought us out here, you're trying to scare us, yada, yada, yada. And Teen is like, she has no idea what we're talking about. Wow. And so I was always the adventurous one. Like, I was the one that touched the fence to make sure it wasn't electric. Like, I had this thing about me where I needed to be brave. And so I was like, well, let's go into the main house. And everyone was like, who's going to go in first? Who's going to go in first? And let's go in together. And so we all start walking up to the house. And I fucking shit you not, a white hearse drives by and honks its horn. Oh, wow. And we scream and we run back, and we're like, oh, that scared the shit out of us. Da, 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 da. And then we're like, okay, come on. All right, come on. Get it together. Let's go. Come on. We can do this. And so we all start walking up again. And a red Ferrari drives by and honks its horn. And we scream and we run back down. And by this time, my friend Leona starts crying. And she's like, this is what Teen saw. Like, something is wrong. We shouldn't be here. Everyone else was like, I don't feel good about this anymore. Like, they're trying to like, why is this happening? Like, we couldn't make sense of it, because even if Teen had been at this place before, how did she see the white hearse and the red Ferrari?
Yeah.
Like, how could she have planned that? So everyone else is like, I'm not going in there. And like I said, I don't know, I just was always, I don't know, testing every limit I could. And I was like, well, I'm going in. And I go up, and I remember it was like the door just opened. Like, I don't even remember like really having to push it open. Like, it just opened, and I was standing on the threshold. Thank God I did not fully step into this house. I'm standing on the threshold and I'm looking around, and everything is gray because it's been covered in dust for like since the Civil War. And so I'm like looking over here, and there's a table, and there's all these old bottles and cups and like all this, old-timey shit. And I'm just like looking at it, and there's dust in the air, so it's like hazy. And I'm looking around, and I'm like just observing how everything looks like a blue-gray because of the dust. And I'm like making my way around the room, and I'm just like looking around, and I'm like, oh, this is super cool. And then I look in front of me, and there's a massive fireplace. Massive. I guess they would call that the hearth. Massive, gigantic fireplace. Biggest fireplace I've ever seen. And I'm feel locked into the fireplace. So I'm looking at the fireplace, and out of the fireplace come these red eyes like this. And they start just like coming at me like this. They're like shaped like this. And they're just like coming at me. And I remember not being able to move, and like just feel like mesmerized, right? Like totally, like, it's so hard to explain. Like, woo, not there, but there.
Yeah.
And seeing these red eyes come towards me, and then I become aware that it's like I'm watching these red eyes come towards me, and Leona is next to me, and she's like shaking me, but I can't break my focus from these red eyes. And eventually she screams fucking bloody murder, and it like breaks me out, and I look at her, and she's like, fucking go. And like we run, and we are I'm crying, my friend Leona is crying, we are like losing our shit running away. And like running, when we're running away, we're running around back of that one house. And I'm like Catholic at that time, so I'm saying my Hail Marys and my Our Fathers, and like I'm like, something serious was happening. And then I get this feeling to stop and look. And I stop and I look, and I see this like full-figured Black woman with an apron on, and she's got like a bandana on, and she's waving a white handkerchief like this. And I just and I like scream, and we run away, and it literally scared the shit out of us to the point where we still haven't talked about it to this day. Every once in a while I'll talk to Leona, and we'll be like, do you remember? And she's like, I remember. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I tried to tell my mom about it, and she was just like, nah, she brushed it off like it was nothing. And so now, flash forward, we're in this house on 13th Street, and I'm hearing things in the house. And I keep telling my mom, like, Mom, I'm hearing people walk up and down the stairs when there's nobody home. Like, I'm hearing things happen, like something's going on. And she just kept ignoring me. Like, no, nothing is happening. Don't worry about it. It's just your imagination. Yada, 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 yada. And I'm like, it's not just my imagination. Like something is happening. And then I started to have like serious activity in my bedroom. Where like I remember the door was shut and and I had started to lock it. No. Okay. So I hadn't locked it yet. The door was shut. I'm laying in bed. I start to feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh my God, something is here. Nobody's home. My mom's not home. I'm like, what am I going to do? My door is shut. Suddenly my door opens, like bam. And I'm like, okay, it was the wind. All the windows were open. Maybe I didn't have it shut. You start trying to like make up ideas of like how this could rationally be happening. And then, so I go and I lock it. And I'm like, I'm going to lock it. And if there's a fire, I can hop out the window, and I'm laying in bed and I'm feeling so fucking uncomfortable and just like so scared. And I remember it being like covering my eyes and just being like, if I don't look, it's not here. If I don't acknowledge it, it's not here. And just being fucking terrified. And then the door slams open, like slams. My desk was in this little cubby, like behind where the door opened, there was like this pocket. It slammed it so hard that shit fell off my desk. Yeah. And I just fucking screamed, but nobody was home. What was I supposed to do? So I just like was in it. And I tried to tell my mom about it. My mom wouldn't believe me. Then I remember my friend Alicia from TJ. I got really into Rob Zombie. And we were listening to Rob Zombie and we were jumping on my bed, listening to like Thunder Kiss 65 or whatever. And my mom had been telling me not to listen to it because it was devil worshiping music. Right. And I was just like, nah, there's no such thing as that. What does an adult know? What do they know? And we're jumping up and down on the bed and we're like, Thunder Kiss, like, like we're like laughing, we're having a great time. And suddenly the CD player stops and it starts playing backwards.
Oh, geez.
And we were like, what's going on? And so I get down off the bed and I stop and I take the CD out and I like blow on it and I put it back in and we start it and we get back on the bed and we're like jumping around and then yeah, and then it stops, plays backwards and goes, Jessica. My friend heard it. I hear it. We flip the fuck out, as you should. We go running out, like I like kick the damn CD player. We run downstairs and we are hauling ass. I open the door and as soon as I'm running out, my mom and Nick are running in. And I like, bam, run into them. And Alicia and I were both like, and my mom was like, oh, you two are so, imaginative. You're so silly. Da, 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 da. Like totally fucking ignored it. And I think I picked up some bad shit.
Yeah.
From that house. And then it followed me, I think, until not too long ago when I got my first theta session. I also did a curse removal for my family and myself. And because I really do, from then on, I had some negative entity stuff like happening. And then, so finally we're moving out, right? And I'm telling my mom like, hey, there's some shit in there. And she's like, Yeah, I know. I felt it too. And I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't you like tell me? And she was like, well, you were already so freaked out. I didn't want to make it worse by telling you that I was feeling it too. She was like, I didn't want to validate it for you. And I was like, oh, God for fucking bid, you validate that your daughter is like dealing with spirits. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I guess from her point of view, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. But it was absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And then so a few years later, I'm hanging out. This is like right before I end up going to rehab. I was 17, and I'm hanging out with this new friend, and I am like, we're talking about scary stuff, and I'm like, oh, you want to know a scary place? I've got a scary place for you. And we're like high as fuck. And I was like, tell them the story of the house with the hooks and the red eyes. And I'm like, you want to see something fucking scary? I'll show you scary. And they're like, no, that's not real, yada, yada, yada. So Kylie and I and these two boys, I don't even know where we picked up these boys. We go and we get the boys to drive us in their truck to this house. And the two boys were like, I'm not getting out. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, and I was like, but you don't think it's real, but you don't want to go. And they're like, no, I just value my life. And like, this is trespassing and I don't want to go. And so Kylie and I were like, all right, come on, let's go. And so we park on the road, and there's this long field, and there's no fence, there's no trees hanging. It's just a straight shot to the house through a field. And we go, and by now this is years later, so they had a padlock on the thing. It had like a no trespassing sign. It had been marked as a historical landmark. And so like it was a federal offense for tampering with it and yada, yada, yada. And we're like, fuck that. We're going to mess around with it anyway. And so I was like, we couldn't get in. And I was like, oh, well, there's the cellar doors. Let's go in through the cellar. And so we go over, and I pull, like, it was like the cellar doors that are like this, and you pull them up like that. And so I pull the cellar doors, and we hear an alarm go off. And Kylie had been behind me the whole time. So, and like I said, there was nothing overhead or anything. So we hear the alarm, we scream, we start booking it. I ended up ahead of Kylie. I don't know how. She must have been slow ass. And so I'm running, and then I realize she's like far behind me. And so I stop and I turn around, and she is like standing stunned in the field, and she has blood rushing down her face. And I was like, what the fuck happened? And she's like out of it. She's like, has no idea what's going on. And like, I run up and I grab her, and she's just like bleeding from her head. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck happened? What happened? How did this happen? And she's just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And so we run to the truck, and we get in the truck, and the boys are flipping the fuck out. They're like, what the fuck is going on? How did she get hurt? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, did you see something hit her? And they're like, nobody knows what's going on. Just suddenly, out of the blue, something cut her head.
Dang.
And she's just like bleeding. We have to take her to the hospital. It's so deep. The blood will not stop. So we take her to the hospital. We're just fucking 17. We're a bunch of teenagers. We go in, And they're like, how did this happen? And I was like, oh, we were trying to sneak out and she slipped and fell and like got cut. She fell off of the fence and got cut on the fence. And they weren't buying it, but for some reason they didn't ask any more questions. Like, I don't know, it was the 90s. They were just like, it's fucking kids, you know? Didn't call her parents, nothing like that. Sew her up. She's got like 7 stitches. And then we go back, you know, to my house. And like, still to this day, I have no explanation for how that would have happened. Like, other than she was attacked by some sort of entity. And so years later, when I was about 23, we found out that Frederick had named that as one of the oldest slave quarter like plantains, and that the owner was like brutal and like abused his slaves like really intensely and all kinds of stuff. And so I don't know if it was his spirit or what, but that was when I started to have some spirit, like real spiritual activity.
Yeah.
And working with. Does she have a scar? I'm sure she does. I actually, when I left for rehab, which was shortly after that incident, I haven't spoken with her since. You know, because I ended up, that's when I moved to Florida and got my life straight. Well, tried to get my life straight. For the first time, I had tried to get my life straight. So yeah, so that is when I started to work with spirit. And it's been a pretty intense ride from then on. Yeah, so those are my ghost stories. Those are my first few ghost stories.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, right? And yeah, interesting indeed. History is very, very interesting. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So I totally get that.
What'd you say?
I love like old abandoned houses and buildings. I love that stuff so much. I'm like, ooh, let's go in here.
Yeah, like it's so interesting and beautiful. It's so beautiful to see some of these houses and to feel their energy, and like it's just super awesome, you know? So we would explore all the time. You would love Gettysburg. Like it's a sad, like Betsy's saying, like it's sad, like going to the Battle of Gettysburg. I don't know how many thousands of soldiers were killed. There's this one field, and it's like these are where all the soldiers were killed. And you can feel like the weight of like the spirit there. There's also another place out in Frederick, but I don't, it's in one of the suburbs of Frederick. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's this hill. And it's like the story is this was where one of the battles were. And Betsy, yeah, she was white. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was because of her skin color. I don't know why she was attacked. I don't know why she was attacked and not me. Grateful it wasn't me, but like sad for her. But there was this hill. I can't remember what we used to call it, but the story is that there was a battle that they were fighting, and the soldiers, they lost that battle because they couldn't push this cannon up over this hill. And so since they didn't do it in time, they ended up losing that part of the battle, and yada, yada, yada. So you can park your car at the base of this hill, and if you put powder, like, powdered sugar or flour on your bumper, that your car will be pushed up the hill and you'll see handprints.
Whoa.
And so we had done it a few times because it was just fun. Like, it was one of those things. And there are people who are saying, like, no, scientifically, there's a reason why it happens. Like, it has something to do with how, blah, 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 like science, science, science. And so, but I had never done it with the powder. We'd always just gone and parked. You put it in neutral, your car starts going up the hill, you freak out and you drive away, you know? And so one day, a whole bunch of us pile in the car, a whole bunch of us, and we put the powder down. And instead of doing it facing up the hill, I was like, no, I want to see this. I want to see. So we parked backwards on the hill, and I was in the front seat sitting on somebody's lap, and we have the powder and we're sitting there and it's in neutral, and we start going up the hill, and there I can't see anybody. There's no spirits, there's no nothing there that I could see. And we're going up, and everybody's freaking out like, ah! And so we, drive away, and then I was like, okay, stop. Like, and they look, and you see fingerprints. Like, you fucking see fingerprints in the fucking powder. Like, it is not fake. It's just so many places like this in Frederick. If you like haunted shit,
yeah,
Frederick and like Harper's Ferry, all of that space up there where these battles, the Civil War was fought, there is haunted stuff. And now in a lot of those places, that's where like satanic rituals are held.
oh man.
So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's when I think I picked up some shitty shit.
Yeah, you got to be careful anyway, because that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, and I had no idea how to protect myself. I didn't know anything about protecting yourself, or other than like my Catholic prayers, So yeah, so that was like living on 13th Street, and I think we lived there from like 14 to 15 about. And it was mostly, good memories. I don't really have, same stuff was going on with my mom, like that stuff was just constant. We were struggling together. She was struggling in her own life and I was struggling in mine. And, the abuse wasn't, as like prevalent there because she was really busy with Nick and she was gone a lot of the time. I was gone a lot of the time. As soon as I started to date, oh, that's right. Oh, like right before I dated Steve, I dated this guy, Tony Seal. And I remember he was from California and he showed up at TJ Middle, blonde hair, blue eyes, tan, cool kid from California. All the girls wanted him. And then they hated me because I started to date him. That caused me a lot of trouble in school. A lot of trouble. So like he started a lot of shit for me. And then he ended up moving. We were in love. And as whatever puppy love as we could be. And then he ended up moving away. And I started to date Steve, right? And so once I started to date Steve, I was out of the house as much as I possibly could be. So there wasn't a lot of interaction between my mom and I. That's when our relationship really started to like, I just tried to stay away. She tried to stay away. I tried to stay away. And so, yeah. Yeah. So that's 13th Street. That's my story for today.
I love 13th Street is like where where things got a little haunted.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? It's and even now, like when I drive through town, I go back home, I go back and visit every once in a great while. And I always drive by, and it's this weird mix of like such fondness for that house. I loved it so much. I just love the layout, and like, I felt like things were, good there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh God, I remember too. Okay, so I had kept sneaking out. Yeah, I was like 14, 15, and I had kept sneaking out. I was just being naughty. And so my mom at age 15 got me a babysitter,
Oh
and it was
gosh.
this dude, and he ended up like he let me do whatever I wanted. He was
Yeah.
like, I'll tell your mom, yada yada, go, but you can do this. And I remember that he ended up, my mom, he racked up all this money for phone sex on our phone. So he was like supposed to be babysitting me, letting me go out to do whatever I wanted to do so that he could stay in our house and have phone sex with one of those hotline.
Gosh. Most expensive babysitter ever.
Yeah, and I think like at that point my mom started to like give in. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do anymore. She couldn't control me. Like at that point, um I was a very strong-willed child, and I was going to do what I was going to do. And I feel like because there was so much control in a lot of ways, my way of like just doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing was my way of finding independence.
Yeah.
And it was also like I felt like I knew better. Like I was like, you're a drug addict and an alcoholic, so why do I have to listen to you? Like I had that kind of an attitude. I was like what kind of an example are you for me? Why it's okay for you to go and do stuff, but like I'm not allowed to go do stuff. And you know I think she just kind of started to let go, really. I was drinking a lot more, sneaking out all of the time. Steve was my first. So
Oh,
we had sex when I was 14. We were at a house party. It was so, oh my God. We were at a house party, and like it was expected, like it was
yeah.
like all set up. Like we were supposed to had uh it was like planned, and I
Mhm.
remember us doing it, and then somebody walked in on us doing it, and they saw Steve's like bright white ass. Like he was Irish white and had actual red hair. Like he was like really 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 white. And so the joke uh like forever was about his moon. Like, oh yeah, I saw the moon that night. It was a full moon that night, like all of our friends and everybody. And I just remember having sex and like afterwards being like, yeah,
Yeah.
what was that? Why did I do that? Like that's what I've been waiting for. And then and I knew Steve, we had been together for like a year, and I thought we were always going to be together. And so it wasn't like I was disappointed that I did it with him, but it was just like, oh, why all this excitement for that? That wasn't worth it at all. And now it's something I'm expected to do, right? It became an expectation. Um, so yeah, so I was having sex and I was drinking, I was smoking pot, I was sneaking out, I was I was doing whatever I wanted to do. And I think my mom kind of like instead of wanting to, because when we would fight, it was extremely physical. She would lose her temper and beat the fucking shit out of me. So I think her answer was to just not, whatever, do whatever you want. Like, you know, she saw that the more she tried to control me, the more I bucked, you know. And there were also other things going on at that point too. Like I was under a lot of stress. Like I went to my dad's and I had been sexually assaulted by this stranger that followed me and my friend Leona home from the pool. And he followed us home and my door was locked. So I had Leona climb up it to the, get on top of the thing and go in the top window. And while she was in the house, he sexually assaulted me. And then, Leona came down and like stopped him. And, we called the police and I had to go to court and it was like all drug out in court. And I remember it being really, really horrible. And I remember like being in the courtroom and they make you point out the person that did it.
That's terrible.
And like I had to point it out. And I remember laughing hysterically and looking at the judge. I was like laughing hysterically and crying at the same time. And I was like, I don't think this is funny. I don't know what is happening right now. And she was just the most kind person. She was like, honey, that your nervous system is going haywire right now. I don't think you think this is funny. This is a nervous response. Like, you're okay, And so it was like really traumatizing. And, and so like shit was just crazy. Shit was just really crazy. And the crazier that shit got, the crazier I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to, okay, Betsy, I don't remember. Do you look like your mom? Yes. I look like my mom. I look, I'll try to find a picture for next story time.
Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah. I have some on my Instagram.
Okay.
But I have some photos, so I don't have any out. It's hard to see her. It makes me feel sad, so I kind of put her away. But yeah, I look like my mom. I feel like I look like my mom. As an only child, I feel you acted as an adult earlier too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Being an only child. Joey, you're an only child too, right?
So, it feels like it. But no, I do actually have a brother that's 3.5 years younger than me. We were never very close though. And
Did I know
probably I don't talk about it. This might jog your memory. He's married to a gal from Rome, an Italian gal, and they got married. No, maybe not.
No.
But my brother was always fairly checked out. I was really involved in like all the family strife, and my brother was sort of just like, and I do think that he might be
Oh, I do remember. Okay. Yeah.
he might be autistic, and he doesn't love it when I say that, but just the way that he was just not involved with things, and it was good because basically we all were trying to protect him anyway. But
Right.
yeah.
Do you talk to him?
Very rarely.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Mhm.
I thought you were an only child. That's wild. Now I've got all kinds of questions because
Yeah.
I feel like I don't remember. I'm sure you told me like maybe last year when we first started talking or something. But now I have so many questions. but yeah, as an only child, well, yeah, that you were the firstborn though, then, and so I think it goes same for, only child or firstborns. You end up having to be older than,
Absolutely.
I mean, I see it with my own. Like Lucas is way more mature
Yeah.
and has always been, it creates a certain character, for sure. Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, that's I think that's a good story time today. I feel like that was a good story time. I hope you guys
Haunted story time. That was nice.
haunted story time. Yes, yeah. Some and it'll play into my story, like knowing all of that. It plays into the story even more. Because it's just something that really followed me around, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, so next week we'll start at Third Street. Moving to Third Street. And I think that takes me to like age 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah, and by that time I was pretty much on my own. So lots of stuff happening. Lots of stuff happening. So yeah, so join us for Storytime next week, but also this Tuesday, join us for Topic Tuesday. We're going to be talking all about food supply, vibration of food, the cost of food, sustainability of food, the engineering of food. Hopefully I won't get banned for this live because I'm going to talk about some stuff that, I might have to use like some code language because I've had my lives cut off before for talking about certain things. So I think I will have to be careful. Well, no, like there's channels where they talk about the shit that they're doing with food. Hopefully I won't get picked on. I'm not going to get picked on because I don't get attacked and I'm protected and I can share the truth without repercussions. Oh, if you don't follow me on Instagram, Betsy, it's misfit.sanctuary. So I'm not the best at posting. I post in my story quite a bit. But social media has just like, it's become something that it takes a lot of my energy, and I would rather put my energy in other places rather than creating content. So, I'm not posting super often, but I post on my Instagram story almost every day, at least a few things like, and yeah, so check it out. And yeah, any questions or anything else needed?
Oh, I think we did good today. I mean, although it's interesting how much we probably all dabbled in, like basically we haunted ourselves because we don't know how to protect ourselves. But yeah.
Yeah,
Don't talk about things.
I talk with my boys, like they know, like, do not use the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like, if someone is using the Ouija board, call me. Like, don't fuck around with that. Don't do Bloody Mary. Don't do Candyman. Don't do any of that. Don't do it. It is real. That's why they make it catchy like that. That because children are so susceptible to thinking, oh, this is just a fun game. That's why they make it like that, because it drops you in. Like, don't fucking mess with that shit. And if you have friends that are messing with it, call me, get out of there.
Yeah.
So
there was I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were mentioning, and I can't remember, I think it was somewhere in perhaps Indiana. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was quite a large city. But the museum, there's like a library museum, and they were having a family friendly summon your own demon. Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
it was part of an art exhibit because the artist apparently makes demon traps. So she was going to teach everybody to make a demon trap. And then they would summon their own demon to make friends with it, trap it in a box, take it home, and have a friend. Anyway, so there's just like so much crazy going on there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that article. But anyway, yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. That's crazy. And I mean, don't get me started on the demonic shit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
mean,
and it's like I'm not a religious zealot, but I know like they're doing some shit, the music that we listen to, like even yeah, maybe that's another topic Tuesday we can do, like the demonic shit that's going on these days and the things to watch out for.
gosh, yeah. I feel like we almost have to do it slightly tongue in cheek just because, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
But okay. Well, we love you. Thank you. Oh, Melinda saying she definitely relates to dabbling in the dark. They used to play the Ouija board and seances, and they had no idea the repercussions. So I'm going to say you need to do a cleansing, especially since I know you're having physical symptoms, Melinda. You need to do some sort of a curse removal, do some sort of a cleanse, because that can be a part of it. Like that can be a big part of it. And that shit is real. It's real. And it can stick with you forever. And we bring in one thing, and then once we open the portal, that's it. Other stuff can come through. So not to scare you or anything, but they can make you sick. They at the very least attach, and then they suck your life force energy. And if it's sucking your life force energy, then you don't have all of your chi and your vitality for your own existence. So there's all kinds of things you can do, like getting a black candle and charging it, and then you write like a curse release, and you put it under it and you let it burn for 7 days. There's a whole, look up some curse removal and some cleansings. You can get black salt and scrub it on your body. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do for curse removals. And then of course in a theta session you could do that too. But yeah, look up some stuff that you can do. I know burning bay leaves helps, gets rid of curse removals. There's all kinds of stuff. So just do some research.
Black tourmaline stone is one of my favorites too, for just get that negativity away from me. Oh, smoky quartz is beautiful for getting negativity.
Yes. And selenite. You get yourself some selenite because it absorbs the negative energy, and it's one of the only stones that you don't have to charge or cleanse or anything like that. I love it. I love it. I have a selenite lamp.
Ooh.
Over there with all my crystals and everything over there. Yeah. So my messy end table. Mm-hmm. Melinda keeps selenite all over the apartment. Good. Okay. All right, loves. I have a client, so I got to get off of here. And I love you all very, very much. And thank you very much for joining. Again, smash that like button. And share, copy, link, and share with anybody that you think would like these scary stories today. And yeah, follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you've got it. Make sure you're subscribed. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Big loves.
Love you. Oh wait, okay. Now I gotta it here. All right. Bye, guys. I'm waiting for it to catch up.
Yep.
I'm watching the preview of it.
It's so funny. It's staying live.
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube is having quite a day.
That's way more than a 20-second delay.
Absolutely.
Still going. Way more than a 20-second delay. This is so weird.
I wonder, maybe we should just shut down the Zoom.
I don't want to shut the Zoom down. Okay. How far behind is it?
It's pretty caught up. Honestly.
It's caught up? Because for me, I'm looking at the live stream.
Yeah, like I just watched you say how far behind is it? Like I just watched you say that.
Oh, weird. Okay, bye. Mine